I don't feel like Martell has any help. Martell been on a standstill for years since they divorced. Who bossed up, Melody?
You're right.
Melody bossed up. Melody has a team. Martell ain't got nobody but himself and sometimes his mama. Sometimes. You're not married. You know what I'm saying? You married, I can't spend the night with the kids. I'm not rushing over there at 7 o'clock because breakfast while I got my own kids at home. Go sit up here and keep on playing with Martell. We had a whole hour conversation about child support custody today, draining me. Because Martell just acts slow.
You sure he acting?
What am I supposed to do?
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. That was the conversation between Coleslaw and AL he released on his channel. I am going to address her statements as follows. So number one, Coleslaw stated that Martell doesn't have any help and that he has been on a standstill since the divorce from Melody. So Martell, he has the show, right? That's where he's getting a paycheck from. However, on the show with Melody, he had started a few businesses, right? He had a builder's license, so his work was a builder. One of his jobs was a builder. He was creating homes building, right? Later on, we learned he didn't have a license, but let's start with from her point of view, from Arionne's point of view. He was a builder. He was building buildings, right? Then he started a wine business, right? And also another business venture was the suits. So he had a contract with a company to design suits. That was another business venture. So he had a bunch of business ventures. He was a star, celebrity. He lost the support he had. He lost the respect he had of the communities, right? Because as a married man, a lot of times in corporate jobs, as a married man, you're given more respect, right? You're given more opportunities. Not only that, the fans that he had as a husband to Melody, there were customers. There were people who were willing to buy his wine. There were people who were willing to buy his suits. I'm sure there were companies that were willing to sponsor him with his suits, his wines, whatever business venture he had or ideas he had. There were companies, fans, people who were willing to support him. But once he showed his ass on the TV, on Love and Marriage Huntsville, once he showed how disrespectful he was, losing his whole family, lying and disrespecting his wife, he lost a lot of things. He lost most of the fans. No one's gonna want to buy anything from you, knowing that you were supporting your side chick, and that was revealed by the other cast members who revealed what he was doing with the side chick for the side chick. So he was funding her lifestyle. So once he no longer had Melody and lost all the business ventures, he couldn't fund her lifestyle anymore. He didn't have the business acumen, right? His focus turned to Melody. He was focusing on trying to destroy Melody. He was trying to destroy Melody's reputation because how dare her divorce me? He wasted a lot of time focusing on Melody, trying to make Melody look bad, trying to give Melody a reputation that will turn the fans against her, instead of focusing on the ventures he had going on, the businesses he had, the people he had around him. He wasted all that time. Okay, second, she said Melody was the one who bossed up. She has a team. Melody bossed up because Melody had a business acumen. Melody had a business mindset, and Melody kept focused. although she had Martell coming at her all kind of ways, and she had to deal with the stress of him, Melody had a business mindset which she kept focused on. She also had a mother who cared about her, who was there, who helped her support the physical support she needed, the mental support she needed. She got it from her mother. And that is what Martell did not have. And Melody knew that she had to be strong for her kids. Right? So Melody continued to work during the divorce, during the threats she got from Martell, him trying to disparage her among the other cast members. Right? He was trying to stress her out, all that stuff. She had a team in her mother. Right? She didn't have a team in the cast members because she saw how backbiting they were. She saw that she couldn't trust them, but she definitely didn't have them. So I'll say she only had her mom, and the others are people who were working for her. So she was actually paying these people to be there to continue to do the job that they needed to do. Right? Because Melody had what? Melody had um, her beauty business. Right? And she also came out with a song. She was doing music. Right? She was also building. Okay, next she said that Martell has no one but himself, his mother sometimes, and he is not married. First of all, Martell has himself, so that himself, he should have been the brains of the operation. Right? If he didn't know something, he could have learned it. There were books, there's classes, all that stuff he could have taken to gain the knowledge he needed. He didn't have a builder's license, come to find out. He could have taken that during the show, had plenty of time, and get back on track. His mother was dependent on Martell to make a way for her herself. Right? She was waiting on her son to probably buy her a house for her to retire, sit down somewhere. Right? What else could a mother have done for Martell, a grown man who knew what he was doing, who knew how to sneak out of the house, lie to his wife, and tell his wife that he was going to the gym while he was going to his side chick's house? If he could come up with that slick excuse and get away with it, he could have come up with a way to continue with his businesses, or at least how to come up with a way of how to get the knowledge. Right? Marriage has nothing to do with it. Well, marriage has nothing to do with it in the way that he didn't need to be married to gain. He could have focused on himself, basically, but he was focusing on so much different things that didn't help him in the long run. Right? So he played himself. And then Arionne said that he can't, I think she said something about she can't spend the night watching his kids, like 7 in the morning or so, while she has her own kid to take care of. Right? I guess because Martell would have the kids for a certain time, and she was not going to give up her time taking care of somebody else's kid. And she doesn't have to take care of anybody else's kid. Nobody told you to take care of their kid. Melody would take care of her kid. Melody would have been glad to take 100% custody of her kids. But Martell, he was fighting so bad to be in the kid's life. He wanted to be the first person she contacted if she has to go anywhere, which makes no sense to me. But I think what Martell was doing is that he wanted first rights because he had nothing to do. How can Melody just call you up in the middle of the day, like she has to travel or something? She has to call you up in the middle of the day and you're available. You should be thinking of working on your business, working on a plan, or doing something. Not she go out somewhere. That is not, you're not supposed to be available for that. She had her mother who was willing to watch the kid. She had her brother who was willing to watch the kid for like an hour or two. You should not be available for that. That is what Martell was focused on. He wasn't focusing on his business ventures, coming up with new business ventures or learning the skills that he needed to complete these business ventures. She is not going to keep playing games with Martell. I think she meant that Martell was making false promises to her, right? And he wasn't showing any results because he was going back and forth with his ex. He was babysitting, like fighting to babysit the kids. And I think he didn't have time for her. Also, he was just disrupting their time. So he didn't have any plans. I think that's what she meant by he was playing with her. He didn't have any strict plans. This is what we're gonna do. Da 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 da. He didn't. She said that she sat down with Martell and they had a conversation for an hour about child support and custody. I have two things on that. So if she was speaking about herself and her kid on child support, she was probably thinking of her having her son for like full custody and having Martell pay child support, which they would have decided, depending on his job, how much she would have gotten, right? But I think mainly they were talking about, they had a sit down discussion talking about Melody's kids. Because you saw in the episode, Martell came on a lot of the episodes accusing Melody of having about 20 babysitters. So he was trying to create the idea that Melody was so busy for the kids and he wanted to have it documented. So having it on the show would have been a way of documenting that Melody admitted that she doesn't have the time for her kids, that she has to pull da 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 to watch the kids. So he wanted, I think there was an episode, if I can put that on, I will, where he had to sit down in the restaurant and he wanted to talk to Melody about for full custody. He was giving him full custody. You as a man, you want full custody of 4 kids. You shouldn't have the time. So they were discussing him getting full custody. He was trying to make Melody look bad, but it did not work. Melody was not a lazy mother. She was not a careless mother. She wanted to be in her kid's life. She said Martell acts slow, and Martell was draining her. And she asked AL what was she supposed to do? What is she supposed to do? So I think he was demanding her to do his dirty work. So now that Martell has fallen, he is no longer the provider, and she doesn't have much either. So they are in either a 50-50 relationship or a 60-40, her 60, him 40. Sometimes it might be 70-30. So they're no longer where he was 100% providing, whatever. So they're in a relationship where they're both providing or struggling to provide. And that's the issue. That's what caused her stress.